All right, it's exactly 7 minutes after 7. We're talking Jamestown now. Get ready, people. It's one place that a lot of us like to be, but recently the place been, let me not use all the words, but we've got a documentary that we'll see, and then we'll come back and talk about a lot of the things that we see in that documentary. Let me introduce my colleague, Kofi Lane, to you. Good morning, Kofi Lane.
Good morning, Malawi.
How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Thanks for being here. Teko Tego is the Chief Development Planning Officer with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Mr. Tego, good morning to you.
Good morning, Malawi.
Kofi?
Yes.
You did this documentary,
Absolutely.
so I'd like you to introduce it to us.
Okay.
We'll go and watch it, and then we'll come back and break issues down.
So basically what this documentary is about is a rediscovery of Ghana for me, because I've been out of the country for a while. And I thought I'll give a voice to individuals and people and communities who haven't had a say, or people have pretty much been ignored for a while. So Jamestown was first on the list, and the visit was to just, you know, as part of my rediscovery back into Ghana, just to see what was happening in that community.
Yeah.
It shocked me and surprised me what I encountered, actually.
Was it the way you left it?
No. I was expecting something totally different. When I left, it was a fishing community, and it was a thriving fishing community. Yes, it has its downfalls, but it's deteriorated to a very, very bad degree. So a lot of concerns. But you know what? The good thing is that the people there who actually live there are quite upbeat and are very hopeful about the future. So
yeah,
it's not all that bad, really.
Okay, so how do you title this?
It's called Jamestown, the Forgotten Town. Okay,
so here we go with Jamestown, the Forgotten Town, as told by Kofi Lane.
Jamestown is a fishing community located on the coast of Accra, a community of fishermen which has gradually evolved into a community of sorts. On entry into this community, you are instantly struck by the historical image of the lighthouse, which on its own leaves a lasting memory on your experience. This lighthouse signifies a time when this coast was the main port of Accra, and in the blink of an eye, you could have missed the trains arriving with cocoa and timber. In the distance, on the sea, you will have had your English vessels securely docked along the coast, a good distance from the shores, with canoes peddling to and from the ship to bring in goods and services to a barter trade. This area will have been the epitome of a busy commercial coast where there was a natural buzz of excitement and frenzy of anticipated economic boom until Tema was built, and all this previous area of focus suffered a lull, which resulted in the fishing community to migrate into this area, which was more conducive to the fisherman's trade. Fast forward to 2015, it's still a fishing community. Large-scale poaching by foreign vessels has severely depleted fish stocks in Ghana's 200 nautical mile maritime, causing major government concerns. The most affected stocks are the sea-bottom fish. Tuna stocks reportedly remain unaffected. A 1992 Ministry of Food and Agriculture reports recommendations that the government accelerated mobilization of surveillance and enforcement units and step up regulations of trawler fleets. That same year, the government passed a fisheries law to curb overfishing and to help protect the marine environment. Fishermen were banned from catching specified shellfish, and all fishing vessel operators were required to obtain licenses. The law provided for a regulatory body, the Fisheries Monitoring, Control, Surveillance and Enforcement Units, as well as a Fisheries Advisory Council. These organizations, however, both of which are underfunded and undermanned, are unlikely to stop the illegal fishing activities anytime soon.
In Ghana, we do politics with everything. And that is one of the main causes of our present situation. We're not making progress because we introduce politics into partisan politics into every issue, very important national issues. And that's the reason why they were not able to stop it. At a certain point, well, they came in. I mean, that was Rollins' time actually. He came in strongly to make sure that things were put on and he being killed. And fishing regulations were made, but there are certain gray areas which couldn't be cleared. So the enforcement agencies couldn't effectively enforce the regulations.
The people here complain about the recent invasion of the Chinese into our seas and the effects that has had on their livelihood. It is alleged that the Chinese adopt this lighting and chemical method, which even depletes the fishing stocks further. The locals claim not to have a choice, but to also break the fishing regulations by adopting some of these methods to survive. The chemical method involves the use of DDT and carbide, which causes fish to rot soon after the catch. And there are concerns on what kind of effect it may have on the human consumption. Monofilament nets made of nylon catch the smaller fish and are difficult to dispose of, but in comparison, relatively cheaper than the multifilament nets, which is eco-friendly and recommended internationally. So where does this leave this community who are entirely reliant on the fish to earn a living? Well, by no fault of theirs, this area is now attracted all sorts of unruly characters and has gradually become a law unto itself. It is believed that the law doesn't exist here, and as such, the results are drug use and dealing has become a norm. The area has attracted thugs from other West African countries who come here to deal and use drugs. And so, our initial approach into this community, with a crew and cameras, was frowned upon to say the least. Here, we uncovered other very pressing issues. Defecation on the coast and its implications on the environment and the health and safety of the community. It's normal practice to use the sea defense wall and the beach for defecating. And even with the camera crew, the locals did not shy away from carrying on their business, disposing of rubbish and non-biodegradable products. The coast is littered with plastics and polythene, which take years to disintegrate. Some of this rubbish is also sucked into the sea and may have harmful effects on the marine ecosystem. The locals complain that they have no other alternatives, and if they had an area to dump their rubbish, they will utilize it.
People defecate anywhere, they throw rubbish anywhere, and they do it with impunity. We have houses which should have had toilets for athletes in houses. They are not there. And it is like nobody cares what happens. So defecation at the beaches is not a ritual, daily ritual. Throwing of rubbish into gutters and all that, nobody cares. So I would say that it's not only peculiar to this beach, it's everywhere. And I think the time has come for something really radical to be done about it.
The most pressing of all these issues I discovered was the depletion of the sea defense wall. This wall was built during the colonial era. This coast, unlike many, had tides arriving from two sides, hence making the coast very rough for the British to dock and carry out their usual business of commerce and trade. They built this wall to calm the coast. Since this wall was built, this coast has evolved into a community of people who live, school, and raise their children here. Experts advise that without this wall, the community will be washed away gradually, which then makes my discovery even more concerning. This wall has not undergone renovation since it was built and has stood the test of time, but unfortunately, with time, it has begun to corrode away. Signs show that this wall will not last another 5 years and will need resolving sooner than later, as the immediate effects of not having this wall will mean this community being washed away. This will have adverse effect on the community, with dispersed families needing to find alternative accommodation and another means to sustain their livelihoods. But despite all the concerns listed above, the people who live here are not a totally disgruntled people. They have their own ways of creating an entertaining atmosphere to sustain some element of positivity. So I asked the question, for a once vibrant commerce and trading coast, is Jamestown now the forgotten town?
This is more like breathtaking, but this is right here in our country. And I've got to ask you, Kofi, what were the challenges with this?
I think one thing that was quite tough is when I entered the community was how dirty it was. You know, I was expecting, as a minimum, a place that actually thrives on fish and it's for human consumption, that at least the basic cleanliness that is expected would have been in place, but that wasn't the case. So that surprised me. I think I went there with the intention of discovering recycling and dumping of biodegradable plastics and that sort of stuff. And stumbling on the sea defense wall depleting was something that wasn't intended, but I stumbled on that. And the adverse effect if that wall goes onto the community. The defecation on the beach, which seems to be a norm in this country.
Yeah. Free range.
Free range, and I think they like their breeze,
yes.
For want of a better expression. But like as an example, I didn't expect to stumble on that. I didn't expect to stumble on the fact that the fishing community was struggling just because there had been introduction of foreigners into our seas and were depleting the fish stocks through things like trawlers. Also stumbling on the fact that they were breaking a lot of fishing regulations just because, you know, a lot of them were saying, you know, if the Chinese are going to use trawlers and this lighting method to catch all our fish, then why don't we also cheat fish on fish wrong days, days that you're not supposed to be fishing that we're fishing, and things like using DDT and carbide, which could be harmful to the human consumption, and using the wrong nets, which catches all the sea bottom fish as well, which does not allow the regeneration of the fish. So yeah.
Sure. Well, thankfully we have the AMA right here. So, is Jamestown a forgotten town?
No, I won't say Jamestown is a forgotten town. Jamestown is really under the focus of the AMA. And just last week, the chiefs and people of Jamestown organized a seminar to talk about the history and the culture of the people. So it's really under the focus of the AMA. What you have shown is really of concern to all of us. I mean, I was born and bred in Jamestown, and I knew the way the beach front used to be like, how we used to go there to swim and do other activities there. As a grandson of a fisherman, I go there regularly, I buy my fish from there. And the conditions I see there is really something that is appalling.
But growing up, you were not free ranging there, were you?
No, we're not. I mean, it used to be when we were growing up, we used to have the fire service training school there. So it was more or less like a security zone. So even if you were going to the beach, then it means you had something to do there. But as children, we could sneak through and go and swim.
I think there's a SEPS office also right there.
The SEPS office is right up there because it used to be an older, but the SEPS office was servicing the outdoor activities. But like, you know, it's really very sad to see the way it is, and we've been concerned over the years. I've been interacting with Niabil Chinkwada, and then in the late, almost around 2005, there was a redesign for the place done by the Dutch. And the government then was expecting to get these Chinese funds so they could develop 18 landing beaches along the coast of Ghana, including Jamestown. So the designs were done. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a Chinese loan to do the implementation. But first and foremost, let me say that the community we see there is an illegal squatter settlement. Last week, under the Participatory Islam Upgrading Program, we had a workshop, you know, with sessions of the community to look at how we can redesign Jamestown to fit into the modern times. And the chief fisherman and his own entourage were there complaining about the settlement, which is creating a nuisance for them. Apparently, most of those who are living there, majority of them are not natives from the community. I mean, people have taken advantage of the fact that some few fishermen were keeping their hardware there, so they have also joined, and now it's a blot on the community. The Jamestown community is very, very concerned. They've called on the mayor to get rid of the place, and the mayor is putting, you know, plans together so that we get the place, the people.
Where exactly is illegal?
Where we have the so-called settlement. It's not a settlement. People refer to it as a fishing village.
So this is close to the sea. This is when you cross the road to the sea.
To the sea, and it's near the breakwater. And their presence there is really posing a danger to them themselves because the breakwater is being eroded from the back. So any disaster, if the breakwater should give way, it means it will fall on the people. And the sad thing is that, I mean, if you go there, you see these kids and all sort of activities going on there. It doesn't really speak well of the community.
Can I just ask, Mama V, quickly, do you think has caused this influx of the illegal squatters? Because it became evident that there were people that actually are not even from the country. We have people from Togo, from Nigeria, from Ivory Coast, all coming in. So what is actually breaking down there to allow these people to come in? And plus, I've got to remember also to say that it was evident that they were not even worried to use drugs in our presence.
Yeah, I mean, that is how far the situation has deteriorated. And you know, once people get into such ghetto-like situations, they assume that sense of anonymity, because like you say, most of the people there are, say, foreigners who have come, and because some few people are there, they have joined them and engaging in all sorts of activities. And for the Jamestown community and the people themselves, they are very much concerned. I mean, we should have been at our meeting last week to see how sentimental the people were and complaining about the presence of the people and how the activities there is really giving Jamestown a bad name. So definitely we have to do something about that. And the man you saw in the film talking about he being there 20 years, he has a family home. His family are living, you know, in the Jamestown itself. He has, because he had been working at the beach, he's taking advantage of the situation to go and settle there. Which means that if they are asked to relocate, everybody will have to find.
So they have homes.
They have homes. I mean, apart from the foreigners or strangers who are there, the native Ghana boys who are there, they all have homes.
So, but why do you think they feel most comfortable in that place where they are not supposed to be living?
Because of the activities they engage in there. You know, like he's saying, the people are smoking drugs openly, and it's more or less become like a drug den where people from outside the community move in to come and purchase their drugs. And the good thing is that last 2 weeks we have had meetings with NACOM. They want to embark on a sensitization program before they come in to, you know, make the necessary arrests that will keep the situation. But the best thing will be to get rid of the community. Which
you say that the mayor, Alfred Oko-Vanderpoy, is strongly considering.
It's strongly considering, following pressure from the chiefs and the people of Jamestown. I mean, at community meetings, which we do quite often, that is the major concern of the people. And apart from that, most of the activities that go on there, I mean, it's an affront to the traditional beliefs of the people. For instance, the chief fisherman, the Nai Wolomo and his team, do not believe that we should rear animals at the beachfront. People are there who are causing abortion and dumping their fetus and things into the sea, and they see all these things as very sacrilegious to their fishing activities. So the people are very concerned. We now have to master the courage and then get the people out.
Sure.
And unfortunately, when we do these things, the general public see it as very high-handed, but it is not a designated residential area. It's a fishing harbour. They are designed to redevelop the place to serve the purpose of the fishermen and then improve on their fishing activities and generate their income.
Let me let Kofi come in. I'll ask you about timelines afterwards.
I was just going to ask about timelines, surprisingly, but just to skip that quickly. Do you know what these plans actually constitute? Because it's easy to say that we're going to remove this community. Some people have been living there for 20 years, have brought up their kids there, have getting an education there. Yes, there's other extracurricular activities happening there with the drugs and the abortions, etc. But I've got to say, it's not that easy, is it, just to drive a community away? What are the plans in terms of rehousing these people, or is that not inclusive of the plans? And do you have any access to those plans, by the way?
In fact, a plan was done by a Dutch company for the redevelopment.
Is that not a flaw on its own, the fact that these people don't know who we are and how we live, that a Dutch company would actually put the plan together?
It was done with the active participation of the fishermen.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that the place is not a residential area. The rightful owners and interested group is the fisher folks. Those who are there are squatters. And unfortunately in this country, we seem to encourage some of these things. You are not supposed to be where you are not. You are not supposed to be where you are not supposed to be.
So why didn't we get rid of them, when they started?
We've gotten rid of them several times, but they still come back with the connivance of some of the chief fishermen who have even passed on, and now their own colleagues are complaining. You understand? I mean, if you are not expected to be in the place, you don't have to be there and say you are staying. I can show you pictures that we've taken in 2006, and there was not a single soul in that area. There was not a single soul. If somebody tells you he's been there 20 years, it is a lie. The gentleman you spoke with, he's been working at the beach. I mean, I've worked with him when I was a kid. We all used to go to help the fishermen when we were kids in Jamestown.
So you are saying, because we want to move, we want to move on,
Yes.
and we want to see what concrete plans that you have, and by what time you think we will get things on the ground. You're saying that moving forward, we will see these illegal structures being demolished. These people move away, except that they have homes in Jamestown.
Yes, they have to go back to their homes. I mean, we are preparing the necessary contingency plans for, after the necessary sensitization information is given to them.
How about the foreigners, those who don't come from Ghana?
You can't just move from Ghana and go to Ivory Coast and go and live at a place which you don't own. And the thing is that in the Ghana we will say Mokokeshi Bemo Efe Wohe. The fact that you go and sit at some place for a while doesn't make it yours. Whilst you are there, you are earning some living, you try to make the necessary arrangements so that you can procure your place because it's not yours. The owners will come for it, and that is what the fishermen are demanding now. Last week we should have been at our community meeting. They were so angry and anxious that, look, what is happening, they don't like it.
When would we begin to see some real action on the ground?
Hopefully, from discussions at the top there, we're hoping that before the end of the year, something should be done. Because it's really of concern to the chiefs. I interact with them daily, I interact with the fishermen, and they are so concerned. But the way we tag certain activities in this country always becomes like an impediment. But with what has happened in other squatter settlements, we need to take the bull by the horn. Because like you are saying, this should be an economic resource for the community and the AMA itself. This harbour was designed along the lines of Dover Harbour in Britain. And if you go there, you have the old ladies, coming to the wall that you see. You have people paying money to come and lean on it and just look at the ocean. What benefit is the people there giving to the community? They're rather giving the community a very bad name. And but the chiefs are concerned.
The reason we have not been able to carry out after that plan by this Dutch company is because of funds.
It's because of funds.
So where are we getting money from if we're going to carry out this exercise now?
Well, before the funds arrive, there's a need to sanctify the place, sanitize the place, so that any investor who wants to put in money will know that it's not going to put his money down the drain.
So as it is now, we don't have money for the project itself, for the new plan.
I can say the government is trying to mobilize the necessary resources so that the intervention can take place.
So you see, Mama V, for me, I think the sea defense wall is apparently corroding away at such a rate that it may not even last the next 5 years. The catastrophe in terms of if it goes down on the community is quite vast, irrespective of whether or not these guys are legally squatting. So as a start, I agree that we need to remove squatters from there. But are we not also looking at the place as being a potential a tourist attraction? I'm like, this used to be the major port for commerce and trade, with the barter trade with the English going back and forth. So is there no such thing to rejuvenate the place that it becomes a tourist attraction? Because that's what you would do with a place like that, wouldn't you?
Sure, Kofi, I agree with you perfectly. And I should say that when we had the Ministry of Tourism and Modernization of the capital city, plans were done. I mean, there were plans that were done so that it will not only be for fishing, but to be combined with tourism. Okay. So if you go to the Ministry of Tourism, right, I believe the plans are there. All we need is a necessary funding to implement it. Because it's a great site. For some of us, the nostalgia is still there. And as we go and see the place deteriorating, it's of serious concern to us. Not only us, but the chiefs and everybody who comes from Gamashi, the natives. I mean, we have various communities always asking questions, what is being done? But we also appreciate the fact that the investment that will be needed to improve the place is not a small investment. We need, some big amount to do that.
Sure.
And with government consent and the Ministry of Tourism and the AMA, we're hoping that we'll mobilize the necessary resources to redevelop the place, because any investment done there can repay for itself over years.
Yeah.
So the chiefs, everybody is concerned. The natives are very, very much concerned. Unfortunately, when we go in to do some of these things, then people sympathize with the wrongdoers. I mean, how can you go to the beach and squat there?
We're just saying that let us know your plan, how you intend carrying it out. When you are doing your sensitization, campaigns, let us also be in the know, so that when the real day comes, we know, how things turn out.
And
but
I believe,
of course,
as part of our strategies, we involve you a lot, because this is very good eye-opener for everybody to see how we are wasting resources by people doing the wrong things at wrong places. And the benefits to the country and the community, the immediate community, will be so high that, I mean, we shouldn't really waste time. And we have to also, as part of our responsibility, sensitize the people there that this place is earmarked for some development and they must better move out.
Sure.
Because in the AMA's plans, it is not a residential area. So you can't just go and squat there and say, oh, you should be given some place to go.
Okay.
The people in Jamestown, they say, don't have land for their own resettlement. How do you come and squat at their place and say, give me land to go where? Where did you come from?
Niteko Tego, I would like to say thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And Kofi Lane, thank you for a beautiful feature. It tells a great story of Jamestown. Sadly, you're not Ghana.
No,
I mean,
I'm
it's
not,
not like you come from. So we expect one from Cape Coast.
Oh yes, you will get one from the Fanti region shortly. I've just got to quickly add that I think the facilities, 2 toilets for the whole place, the community is not adequate. So let's give them the facilities and let's see whether they deliberately ignore it. In terms of rubbish disposable and the biodegradable products as well, let's give them some recycling opportunities as well to see whether that will curb the problem.
Every house was supposed to have a toilet. You were on a campaign like that. What happened?
Oh yes,
just in 30 seconds.
Under the PSUP, that, like I'm saying, that place is not a settlement, so we cannot go and put toilets there to make the people.
So definitely you can't build a toilet there. I mean, that place is not supposed to be a residential.
Serve the needs of the fishermen who legitimately has to do their work there. You understand? As part of the PSUP, we have identified houses, as I'm talking to you now, there are people in the field who are serving houses that will need toilet facilities for us to provide toilets for them. And on that AMA's program, the Pay As You Dump, we are providing sanitary containers to all the households so they can put in their refuse for collection. And it is ongoing.
All right. We'll do a lot more follow-ups with you.
Yeah, I want us to do this follow-up because we need to sensitize and educate Ghanaians that we cannot do the wrong thing and expect good results.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't go and squat somewhere and expect that that is your place. I mean, how?
Yeah. All right.
So please,
but thank you. We'll get this
much,
conversation going. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so tomorrow is 1st of July, right? We're praying for the nation. Up next, my guest is Dr. CJ Backman. We're talking 1st of July. Let's see what we can all do to contribute. Please stay.